Alright, hey, what is going on guys? Gage Grizzly here, and we are back with another New World video. Today we're going to be looking at a PvE healing talent tree that I believe is the absolute best. If you're a new or returning player, you're going to want to watch this video because they have made a lot of changes in the last few months in terms of healing, so let's get right into it. Before we dive into anything, I want to discuss equipment load. I personally ran medium armor when I first came back to the game, and I didn't notice there was a 30% healing bonus for being in light. As long as you're in ward gear for PvE, the 30% healing bonus is totally worth it, and I highly recommend being in light armor, but that's just my 2 cents. Alright guys, so when it comes to weapons, the main two you want to use is the light staff and the void gauntlet. There are some other combinations, but let's take it from a beginner's point of view. You just want to stick with the life staff and the void gauntlet. So this is going to be the life staff tree. Now, I know there are some other combinations with Splash of Light, with Beacon, and Light's Embrace. There's tons of healer combinations. But for healing M10s and below, healing every kind of PvE, this is going to be the best talent tree for healers. Let's just start with the protector side real quick. So after a dodge, your heals are 20% more effective, so this is fantastic. So you kind of can just dodge, light attack, dodge, heal, whatever you need to do. So this is perfect. Definitely take this passive. The next passive you're going to want to take is this one, Life Staff. Light and heavy attacks grant 15% fortify for 3 seconds when hitting an enemy. Now you're never going to be heavy attacking with this talent tree, and you guys will see as we move further along. But definitely 15% fortify is huge for yourself, so definitely take this. And then if you have a buff, heal for 20% more. You're always going to have buffs on in dungeons, so you're automatically always going to have this active. Orbit Protection is the absolute best skill to have in PvE. It does 2 things, well technically 3. It gives 10% fortify, which is huge. It heals automatically for 8% weapon damage, and then once you go down the tree here, it heals over time for 6% weapon damage. While that may not seem like a lot, when we go over and look at the attributes, it's going to be a ton of extra healing. Alright guys, just going down the tree here, you're going to want this as well, because when you throw this on an ally, it'll also put it on yourself, which is super helpful. And then just to give you a little bit more range, you want to take this passive as well. Alright guys, going to the actual healing side, you're going to want this one. So light attacks are in heavy attacks, but you're really not going to be heavy attacking. Your light attacks won't consume any mana. This is very good because your light attacks also heal, which is why you're going to take this one. Light attacks now heal for 16% weapon damage when passing through an ally. This is very underrated. A lot of people don't just sit there and light attack, but I'm telling you, the way this is set up, you're just going to want to constantly light attack if you're not using an active healing ability. Sacred Ground is going to be your main heal. Usually it sits on the tank is where I like to put it, or in if there's a clump of melee, I put it there, and then I'll just target heal the DPS at range. You're going to want to take both passives with it because it's going to regenerate stamina and mana. It's going to be helpful for the tank, and then it's going to heal more with this passive as well, so definitely take both of those. And this is the fantastic passive right here. When you hit with a light attack, reduce life staff ability cooldowns by 5%. That's huge. So you definitely want to just spam light attacks if you're not actively healing or using the void gauntlet. When you heal an ally below 50% health, life staff ability cooldowns are reduced by 10%. Very good passive ability, so definitely take that one. While holding life staff, increase the amount of incoming healing to all friendlies in your group by 5%. Again, another good passive, and this is a buff, so it'll always be active, so you'll always have this active. When it comes to single target healing, before the meta was Light's Embrace, they nerfed it a little bit, and they also nerfed the casting time. You used to have no casting time with it, now you do have a casting time, so it makes this one a little bit better in my opinion. So Divine Embrace, it's going to heal target for 120% weapon damage, it's great. Less mana, great. And then if your target is below 50% health, heal 1 additional ally for within 8 meters for the same amount. This is a great savior for your team, and you know, it's saved multiple people on my team many times. So I'm a really aggressive healer, so you know, I'm constantly healing people, and when they get below 50% and you know, heal 2 people with this, it's fantastic. And then it goes great with this as well. When you heal an ally below 50% health, they are healed for 30% more. So you're going to get a massive heal if they're below 50%. So this is going to be the tree you want to take, and I'll show you guys the rotations and stuff and how I pair it with the Void Gauntlet. Alright guys, going over the Void Gauntlet, it can be a little confusing, so I'll try my best to explain it. This is kind of a different build for the Void Gauntlet. A lot of people healing take Essence Rupture. I actually don't. I probably use it when we come to Brimstone in the new expedition because it looks very challenging. But Essence Rupture I actually do not use. A lot of people will take this instead of Petrifying Scream. Again, I'm an aggressive healer. It's funny because I don't use Void Blade, but I use Petrifying Scream. So I'll kind of explain that, and you guys will also see that when I release my expedition runs as a healer. So let's start with Orb of Decay. So this is going to not only deal damage, but it's also going to reduce the incoming damage you guys take and your team takes because of the disintegrate stacks. So it can stack up to 3 times, which is great. When the orb comes back though, it will have a healing aspect to it, and you can actually detonate that early once you go down the tree here to this. So you're going to shoot the orb out. If you shoot the orb, or if you click the ability again when the orb's at the enemy, it'll explode and it'll do damage. If you wait for it to come back when the orb part is on you, you can hit that ability again and it'll actually produce a big healing cloud. Very good for different situations, and you guys again will see that in my expedition runs. So these are the passives with it. 5% mana per enemy can actually help you a lot, and then slows enemies, which is really helpful as well. Mana costs are reduced by 25% while above 50% mana. You're going to be above 50% mana most of the time, so that's fantastic. Cooldowns are reduced by 10% per second while performing Harvest Essence. So what Harvest Essence is I'm just going to show you guys real quick. So instead of blocking, you're going to use the same, it's going to be the right mouse click, and basically you're going to drain your health. So if you're using abilities, you're using mana, you're going to drain your health for mana. And one of the passives on it, let me show you guys real quick. Dodging with full mana heals you for 80% weapon damage. So what I like to do is, I'll get all my mana back and then immediately dodge. And that's going to heal me. And I'll also have the dodge ability after switching to my life staff, which is this one right here. So I'll automatically have that 20% extra heals going into healing my team. So perfect little combo there. You guys will learn as you start healing more. Alright guys, I'm going to go over the passives real quick. So crit chance while above 50% health. I mean, that's great, but it usually pretty much only affects Orb of Decay. 5% cooldown reduction on all abilities critical hit. So that helps when you're using Orb of Decay and Petrifying Scream. Harvest Essence health drain is reduced by 50% while below 25% mana. So perfect. This one and this one go together, so you're gonna get your mana back. You're gonna lose less health, but once you get up into the higher mana pools and you get back with full mana, you can dodge, get your heal back, and then again the mana costs are reduced by 25% while about 50% mana. So all those kind of work together. It's perfect. And then on critical hit, gain health equal to 50% of damage done. Again, these two skills are going to help out with that. And then 5% cooldown reduction on all abilities when successfully hitting enemies affected by 3 or more debuff stacks. So that just kind of, will happen. The enemies will be on multiple debuffs almost all the time. Alright guys, let's go over Oblivion. This is one of the best skills to have as a support player / healer. So it's going to not only deal damage, but it's also going to empower everybody in that area for 15%. That is fantastic. And then it'll also weaken targets inside of the radius, reducing their damage by 5% for 5 seconds per hit. Stacks up to 3 times. So not only is your team increasing damage, but they're also taking less damage while inside the ring. So fantastic support ability. And then stamina, your tank's going to get more stamina while inside of it. I mean, everybody is, but it's going to help the tank most of all. Why do I take Petrifying Scream? Again, I am a very aggressive healer. I'm constantly healing my team, constantly putting buffs on them, constantly putting Oblivion down, and Petrifying Scream helps because it roots the enemies and they can't move around too much. So not only does that help the tank with aggro, helps the DPS. You know, they're not moving around or anything. They can stun them more. And also, you know, if an enemy's chasing me, the tank doesn't have aggro on him, I can just Petrify Scream that enemy, run away, have the tank aggro him. I feel like it's one of the best skills, and it works for me. Feel free though to change it out with Essence Rupture if you're trying to heal like from far away, you're not trying to be close to the action. But again, this is what works for me and what I really enjoy playing. So it's going to root enemies, it's going to deal some damage, pretty freaking good skill. Root duration increased by 1 second on targets below 50% health, so this is great too, because again, constantly rotating skills, I'm constantly in the action as a healer. This is another great passive with it. You gain Fortify for each enemy hit, and you can stack up to 3 times, so you hit a group of enemies, 30% Fortify, fantastic, you're not going to get hit as much. Alright guys, when it comes to attributes, some people might disagree with me, but again, this is what I feel like helps the best for me, and I feel like is overall the best tree for healing. So we're going to run up to 410 focus, if you can get it up there through your food, 100 con. We're going to take everything up here for healing on the focus side. Those are all abilities there. I go higher on focus because it's just going to produce more heals. I don't need that much constitution, especially if the tank's holding aggro. If you guys want though, go to 300 focus and more con. You can do 300, 200. I know a lot of people do that for comfortability, but for me, I don't feel like I need it, so I just stick to 410 once I eat my food and 100 con. Alright guys, when it comes to weapons, the 2 main perks you want is Blessed and Refreshing Move. That's going to get your cooldowns faster. That is also going to get you more healing. This is honestly going to be the best starter life staff. You can get it from Lazarus. I've had literally hundreds of them drop from me, so I'm still working on getting a better one from Dynasty Shipyard, which has a better perk for Divine Embrace, so I'm currently working on getting that. This is going to be a perfect starter life staff, and it's helped me get through M10s no problem. You're going to want also a Void Gauntlet, and some good perks are Nullifying Oblivion, Blessed, and the other Void Gauntlet perks. Now, I do have a Void Gauntlet perk on here, which is the Blade one. I don't really use the Blade much. It is good if you decide to use it, but I don't think I really need the Blade. I still like to be safe as a healer, at the same time aggressively healing it, and again, you guys will see that in my expedition runs. When it comes to the gem, you want to use a Rally Gem. That's going to give you 15% damage and outgoing healing while at full health. The only gem that gives you healing, so definitely use that one. As far as my potion setup as a healer, I like to do a Ward Potion as my first one, whichever expedition I'm running. A Health Potion, Common Regen Potions, and then your Mana Pots. So these are just the ones I use. If the tank doesn't have aggro or something, I'll pop one of these. It just depends situational whenever I need the cooldowns for these. When it comes to gear as a healer, I highly recommend you run as much ward as possible. Minimum 3 pieces because you want 2 of your perks. So I got all this from Lazarus, for exception of these 2. I just bought those off the trading post, so minimum 3 pieces. I usually stick with the same 3 pieces, so I'll get the head, the chest, and the legs. And then I stay consistent with these. These don't change no matter what pieces of gear I'm running. That's why I have them at the same equipment load. So 3 pieces, you want Mending Protection as one of your perks, and then you want Fortifying Sacred Ground as the other one. So between Fortifying Sacred Ground, which gives you 9.7% Fortify, and the Orb of Protection skill, you're going to be giving your team almost 20% Fortify, and that is huge. That's they can also activate Fortify with some of their skills, their abilities, so you're giving them a base 20% Fortify, which is huge. It literally makes M10's easy mode for everybody, and it makes the survivability huge, and it's just fantastic. So these 2 things, Fortifying Sacred Ground and Orb of Protection, I feel like are a absolute must in dungeons. and it just shocks me that so many people don't run Orbit Protection, and it's one of the best skills for dungeons and helps survivability so much. Alright guys, I tried to learn from my last video, so I'm dropping the face cam real quick so I can show you guys my accessories here. So this is from Barnacles and Black Powder, mutated only, I believe. Very, very freaking good amulet, one of the best for healers in my opinion. Highly recommend getting this one, but you want Divine and Health as a healer. And then for the ring, absolutely you need Sacred and absolutely you need Hardy. Hardy is going to give you a 3rd dodge and light armor, so highly recommend you get Hardy and Sacred. And then this one I believe I got from Dynasty Shipyard. I don't think it's best in slot or anything, but I just wear it because it works perfectly fine for me. But I'm sure there's better ones out there that you can get, but this one works just fine for me. Alright guys, I can show you this better when you see my expedition videos. I'm just going to go over a quick rotation. So once you eat all your food and buffs and stuff, you're going to want to start your team off with Orbit Protection. You can literally have 100% uptime on this as long as you're constantly light attacking, getting those cooldowns faster. And between your life staff and all your passive abilities, that cooldown would be like 2-3 seconds tops. So you want to constantly spam Orbit Protection on your team. For the Sacred Ground is going to go on your tank, and then you're going to constantly just light attack Orbit Protection and spam Sacred Ground on your tank and melee DPS. When you get a chance, come up close, put Empower down. That's going to your Oblivion. That's going to grant you Empower. And it's going to give you that extra damage for your team. It's also going to have your team take less damage, making it easier on yourself and the tank. And then, you know, if there's a big group of mobs, I'll do Orbit Decay, and I'll usually explode it because I actually didn't explain this to you guys. But when you get down to this passive right here on successful ability hit, gain a stack of Void Essence. At 6 stacks, consume all stacks and gain a 3-meter Aurora that heals self and friendlies for 30% weapon damage, also dealing 30% weapon damage at the same time. So not only are you going to do a ton of freaking damage, you're also going to be healing your team. So what I like to do, especially like in Lazarus, you guys will see in a future video, I like to go up Orbit Protection, Sacred Ground on the team. I'll Orbit Decay, explode it, Petrifying Scream, that'll activate that ability, and then Empower, and I'll just stand there for a second. Everything will just disintegrate because my team's also doing damage. But just again, spam Orbit Protection. Use your dodges to get a little bit extra healing power, Sacred Ground again, and then just heal whoever needs it on the team. And then, you know, just kind of rotate those, make sure you get some Oblivions down. If you get the chance, again, Orbit Decay, when it comes back, you can press it again for a massive heal. Fantastic ability. And then you also got your Petrifying Scream. And honestly, I think this is one of the best healing builds for expeditions, for M10s. I use this for every M10. So give it a try, guys. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.